How's it going, everyone? This is George here, and today we are continuing the Harry Potter monthly series of reviews with the third film in the franchise, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is the 2004 Harry Potter film that was not directed by Chris Columbus this time. It was actually directed by Alfonso Cuarón this time, and basically is based off the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban book, the third book in the franchise, and what I consider to be the calm before the storm book slash movie of the Harry Potter franchise, because this is the film in the Harry Potter franchise and book where there's no Lord Voldemort. Instead, it's focused on the servant of Lord Voldemort, who we assume to be Sirius Black. He escaped from Azkaban, and everyone assumes that he's going after Harry Potter because Harry Potter brought Voldemort to his downfall all those years ago, and also Sirius Black is also a friend of Harry's parents as well as Harry Potter's godfather. So there's this mystery surrounding who Sirius Black really is. Is he a murderer? Is he a betrayer? Or is there someone else? Is there things that we're unsure about? And also, coming along here is a new Defense Against Dark Arts teacher, Professor Lupin, who actually, for once, teaches the kids Defense Against the Dark Arts. The last two Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers were not that good, and this one also has a connection to Harry's parents as well. So basically, Alfonso Cuarón takes this film in a much different direction than Chris Columbus did. The film feels darker. You feel the kids are starting to grow up. You notice that like the score, even though John Williams returns to do the film score, it's vastly different compared to his score from the first two films. This film has a much more medieval like score in the film, which I love. Like I definitely think of John Williams scores in these first three films. This is by far my favorite of his, especially this one specific score in the film, A Window to the Past, which usually plays when either Professor Lupin's talking or when Sirius Black is talking. And I just love how basically it's like a connection of sorts to like Harry's parents, and also showing that Harry is now the present and future for Hogwarts. But I love the theme. I also love like his other scores throughout this film. For example, when Aunt Marge is blowing up Harry, blows up his aunt after she's insulting his parents, like the score is like a more comedic kind of score, and I love how unique it is. And then when Harry's on the night bus, it's a more quick pace, more crazy like score, and I just love how John Williams scores are vastly different in this film, and he does something unique for every scene, every moment of this film. It definitely adds something new to this movie. And also with Alfonso Cuarón, basically the way like the cinematography is done. Like this is probably the best cinematic looking Harry Potter film, or one of the best looking Harry Potter movies out there. You got a lot of those like dark moments, like especially at night, but also got some of those light moments. You got some of those very artistic artistically visual moments in this film. Visually, this film is leaps and bounds better than the first two films. Like Chamber of Secrets was a big upgrade from Philosopher's Stone when it came to the visuals. This film was an even bigger upgrade with its visuals. The Dementors, who are the Guardians of Azkaban, they look very menacing. Seeing the work that they do with them is incredible. A lot of the effects work with Buckbeak is also incredible. The Hippogriff. And basically, I love just how Hogwarts looks, how the Hogwarts grounds looks. Like, like the film work is probably the best in this film of all the Harry Potter films. And also with this movie, I love how like we're seeing our main cast growing up. Like Harry, for example, as we see these characters grow up, we're also seeing these actors grow up, and we're seeing these actors improve in each film. Like Daniel Radcliffe, like at this point in the franchise, this is his strongest work as Harry Potter. And as Harry, we see in this film, he is no longer taking crap from anyone. He is standing up for himself more and more. Like I said before, he gets very angry when Aunt Marge is insulting his parents. And then when like he thinks Sirius Black betrayed his parents, you see the rage growing in Harry. For the first two films, for the most part, Harry did a very good job of controlling his anger, of holding in his emotions most of the time. But in this film, he's letting it all out. And Daniel Radcliffe, he was 14 when they were filming this movie, and he did an incredible job in this movie. And also, he's standing up to Professor Snape more, especially that scene when Snape catches him wandering in the corridors at night. It's funny, but also it's a great progression of Harry's character compared to the first two films when he seems more shy about standing up to Professor Snape, except for that deleted scene in Philosopher's Stone when he's very sassy towards Snape, but that's considered a deleted scene at this point. But yeah, like Rupert Grint, Emma Watson are also doing an incredible job in this film as well. And also the newcomers in this film. Gary Oldman as Sirius Black is a great addition to the Harry Potter franchise. Gary Oldman's one of my favorite actors out there. I love him as Commissioner Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy, and I love him as Sirius Black in these Harry Potter films. And at first, Sirius Black gives this really menacing like presence. Like you think this guy is a lunatic, especially if you didn't read the book prior to watching this film. But then you find out that he's really innocent. And then like once like his innocence is like proven at least to the Golden Trio, because his innocence is because he's still considered a murderer by the end of this film by other people. Like his moments with Daniel Radcliffe, like Gary Oldman and Daniel Radcliffe have such great chemistry and they play off each other so well. And both these actors in real life are very close and get along great. So I think that helps out as well. But yeah, when like when he's like when he's playing the crazy side of Sirius Black, he does such a great job. But then when he plays the more grounded, calm, more like caring version of Sirius Black that longs to have his best friends come back, but wants to be there for Harry, like he does such a great job. David Thewlis as Professor Lupin. As I said, this is probably the best Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher Harry has ever gotten. He does a great job as well. You know, the Defense Against Dark Arts lessons are fun now. He's this great teacher that like makes these lessons fun, but also cares about his students' well-being and wants to make sure that his students are safe. And he reminds me of an eighth grade social studies teacher that I had back when I was in middle school. Like he made social studies a lot of fun, but also he was very caring for the students' education as well. So he reminds me of that teacher. And again, his moments with Daniel Radcliffe, his moments with Harry Potter, like basically are such key moments, like how these two bond, and like eventually Professor Lupin teaching Harry the Patronus charm. Sorry, uh, like I love like the role that these two characters play in Harry's life because essentially, like you don't really see Harry be this close to other characters outside of Hermione and the Weasleys at this point of the franchise. And these are like two people who are very close to Harry's parents. And then, of course, at the end, we find out that it wasn't Sirius Black that was the servant of Voldemort that didn't betray Harry's parents. Instead, it was Peter Pettigrew, played by Timothy Spall, and he turned out to be Ron's pet rat Scabbers. But also the build up to this scene, and this is also one of the few things that wasn't in the book but was added to the movie and actually makes the movie a whole lot better, is the setup for Peter Pettigrew's reveal. So Harry in this film gets a map called the Mirage Map from Fred and George, and it basically shows everyone in Hogwarts. And so at one point in the film, it shows Peter Pettigrew moving. And so the scene before that, we find out that Scabbers got eaten by Hermione's new pet cat, Crookshakes. Although we assume that Crookshakes killed Scabbers. But anyways, after that scene, Harry's looking at the map and he sees Peter Pettigrew moving on the map. And earlier in the film, around the time Harry finds out the truth about Sirius Black and how he's connected to his parents, we find out Peter Pettigrew was killed by Sirius. And so Harry's investigating it, and the score, as well as the build-up, the tension and suspense, it's building up like, okay, we have this character that we presume to be dead, and we don't see him. But then when Professor Lupin finds Harry later on, takes the map, Harry tells him, I don't know if the map's working that correctly. It said Peter Pettigrew, who I assumed was dead, is on there, and the look of shock on Lupin's face, like, this is like perfect setup right here to the connection to the map, the connection these characters have to the map, as well as later finding out that Peter Pettigrew is not only alive, but he's the real traitor. So I love that build up and suspense that is in this film. I love how Alfonso Cuarón is setting stuff up. For example, like time is very crucial later on in the film, time travel, and yet you see like the clock moving, you hear like the clock ticking like earlier on in the film. I feel like that's also a nice way of Alfonso to set up how crucial time is going to be at the end of this film. And also, the time travel stuff, he could have easily messed up, but no, he didn't mess it up. He stayed true to it and did it without any problems. Like, yeah, this is the film where you start to see them start cutting stuff out from the book because, as I've said, Chris Columbus, out of all the directors, was probably the most book accurate. And this was the first time we start seeing them cut out significant things from the book. But yet, Alfonso Cuarón still manages to capture the important aspects of the book. Like, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have seen the pursuit for the Quidditch Cup from the book into the film. I thought that was a neat thing from the book that I've always loved. And I kind of wish they went a little bit more in depth about the Marauders and how they were connected to the Marauders map. It's like you hear them say, "Oh, the map never lies," but then it's like, "Okay, how do you know that though?" But again, these would have just been add-ons. Like this would have made the movie even better. Like this movie is still fantastic with the performances, the visuals, the cinematography, the score, and how Alfonso handles everything else so well. Like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is probably the Harry Potter film that I've rewatched the most. It's introduced some of my favorite characters later on in the books and movies. And yes, the one that I have is Sirius Black's one. Like Sirius Black's one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. And of course, like that end where Harry conjures up a full Patronus and pushes the Dementors away. I used to be scared of the Dementors as a kid. Like that is great cinema right there. Like a lot of this has some of the best cinematic moments in a Harry Potter film. Harry riding Buckbeak, just incredible. And again, the humor in this film is also some of the best humor in the Harry Potter movies. Like yeah, this is when the Harry Potter movies are starting to go darker, but it has some of the best humor. It has very humorous moments. It has a great balance of everything. And that's why I consider this the calm before the storm because we know the next film, especially if you read the books before watching the movies, you know that the next year is when stuff really gets dark in this franchise, where the franchise really goes down that next step into like darkness, essentially. We'll get more into that when we review Goblet of Fire. But yeah, this is like the year without Voldemort and all that. You see Harry, like, enjoying being a kid while at the same time worrying about Sirius Black and the Dementors, but he doesn't have the fear of Voldemort on his mind this year. All like next year and beyond, like that's when all the dark stuff is really happening in this franchise. But overall, I love Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Not only is it probably my favorite Harry Potter film, it's one of my favorite movies ever. And and really like the stuff that I said that I wish could have been kept from the book, like that doesn't make the movie any worse. That just would have been some added stuff on. But even the deleted scenes are perfect in this film. For example, the scene where Sir Cadogan, the mad portrait from the book, replaces the fat lady after Sirius Black tries to break into Gryffindor Tower. That's a very funny scene. And also the scene where Sirius Black is trying to break into Gryffindor Tower again and Ron catches him. And like you get to see more of Harry Potter's anger later on in that deleted scene. Like those are perfect deleted scenes as well. And again, like they could have just added more to this otherwise fantastic film. But yeah, I'm gonna give Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban an A plus. It's my most rewatched Harry Potter movie and probably one of my all-time favorite movies. And I highly recommend you go check it out. And what are your thoughts on Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is it your favorite Harry Potter movie? Or do you think this is an overrated Harry Potter movie? Because I know there's some people out there that think this movie is overrated. Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that loves Harry Potter movies. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Goblet of Fire will be coming in October. And in the meantime, take care, everyone.